Hi everyone, this is the Liberian Radio and Television Network. We're live in Upper Dhabi. I'm here with Jack.
Stolzheimer.
Okay, Jack. Jack is one of the candidates running for elected office in the Upper Dhabi area, right?
Yes.
In the Upper Dhabi. Okay. So Jack, welcome to our mic.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your kindness.
Okay. All right. We know you guys are trying to run, and what we want to find out is, can you please introduce yourself to the African community? We control the whole community. Everybody look up to us for information. We disseminate information to our people and educate them on things happening in the community. So introduce yourself to the African community.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, my name is Jack Stolzheimer, and I'm running for District Attorney of Delaware County. The District Attorney is the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the county, responsible for working to make sure all of our communities are safe. I am from Havertown right now, but I used to live in Upper Darby where we're standing. In fact, I grew up right down the street. I started out as a very small child living on Marshall Road, and I just have wonderful to see the African community and the diversity of this community grow. As District Attorney, my job will be to make sure that I work with all of our communities to ensure that they feel safe, they feel confident knowing that law enforcement is standing behind them, and that we're doing outreach so that we're trying to stop problems before they are created. I do want you to know that I am a first-generation American myself. My mother came to this country when she was 15 years old as a refugee from a Nazi slave labor camp. I know what it's like to grow up in a community where you have a different cultural background than a lot of the people that you're dealing with. And I think that will help me as District Attorney to ensure that we reach out to every single community and make them know that in our District Attorney, or in our Delaware County, everybody who comes into contact with the criminal justice system will be treated with dignity and respect, and there will be fair and equal justice no matter where you come from or what you look like.
Okay, that's what is the next question I'm about to ask you about your platform. Elaborate a little bit on your platform. What is your platform? Elaborate a little bit for the African community.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, first of all, in Delaware County, we have the only privately run prison in Pennsylvania. Our county jail is run for the profit of people outside of Delaware County. So what I would like to do is make sure that we deprivatize our jail, meaning we're going to let the public sector run it, and we can reinvest those proceeds that we save instead of sending money out of Delaware County into programs that will help the youth stay out of trouble. Because a lot of kids, it's really about juvenile justice, I think, on the front end to make sure that those kids don't get into trouble. But then also to make sure that we're keeping our system of justice available to everybody so that the Upper Darby Police and the people who live throughout Delaware County know that the District Attorney is their friend, and we'll make sure that we are doing whatever we need to do in outreach time to the African community in Delaware County so that they know we're on their side.
Now, the last thing I'm going to ask you, because we got to get started, why did you vote for you? Just tell them, why did you support you? Why are they going to support you? Because the reason I'm asking this question, you got a lot of officials that usually run, and at the end of the day, when they win, the African community is left alone. Yep. Okay, so this is something that people are very, very concerned about, especially because we've been going through that a whole lot. So that's why you see we're here and want to make sure you're on camera. So wherever you see it, people are going to be watching you. Right. So tell them why you think they should vote for you. Why is it important?
Right. Well, I think you should vote for me for two reasons. One is I'm experienced. I know actually how to do this job because I'm a former federal prosecutor and a former state prosecutor in the DA's office. I know how to keep you safe from violent crime. The second reason to vote for me, though, is because I am like you, somebody from a different culture who came to this country. So what I want to make sure is that you know that I believe that everybody who lives in our county deserves equal and fair treatment. That has not always been true in Delaware County. People of African descent and people who are African Americans have not felt warm and committed to Delaware County. This county has been controlled by another political party, the Republican Party, for 140 years that have locked out the African population from power in Delaware County. I want to make sure as a Democrat that we're giving everybody the opportunity to be part of our society.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to get started very soon, and I just want to let you know we are the Liberian Radio and Television Network. We're here for you. We want you to listen to these candidates, and you be the judge for yourself. That's what the platform is about. We're asking everybody to come out, look for Jack, And is there any way they can get in touch with you? How can they get in touch with your campaign? How can they do that? You're going to explain that here today?
Absolutely. We have a website, www.jackfordelcoda.com.
Okay, I'm gonna get that from Jack. We're gonna post it tomorrow morning. So if you follow us wherever we are, I'm gonna post that so you can have it. So Jack, thank you very much for coming to the
Very
mic.
much. Thank you.
And just stick around, and we're gonna get started. Thank you very much. Okay, Catherine, come on. Now we have the administrator is on here. We're gonna get started in a few minutes. I just want to introduce you to Catherine. She don't like to be on camera, but fortunately she had to be on camera. So I know you're here with me today. So speak to the people. The lady who behind the whole show.
I just want to welcome everyone to LRTN. We are glad to be able to bring you news all over Philadelphia and Delaware County, all over Pennsylvania. That's all I have to say.
She's very nervous on here, but anyway, we're going to get started in a few minutes. So just relax, sit back, and relax as we get started with the program. Thank you.
All right, you guys ready?
Sit there. Yes, you sit there.
Afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon. I need it because over there. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joar Don, and I will be serving as your MC for the night for this wonderful meet and greet for our Democratic candidates for Delaware County offices, local offices. The importance, well, I'll let Sadiq, my partner here, introduce himself before we get into why we're here and hear from these wonderful people.
Good evening, everybody. Most of you guys know me. My name is Sadiq Kamara, and thank you guys for coming here today for these great candidates for the Democrat Party in our county. So we want to introduce what we're going to do today and moving forward. So go ahead, brother.
All right. So, like I said, my name is Joar Don. Young man right here in Delaware County. Grew up here in Delaware County, so this county is very dear to me. Moved to Delaware County about 14, 15 years ago from Liberia, Western Africa, and I've been here since then. And I've seen it at its best, and I've also seen it at its worst. So, Delaware County is very dear to me. But also another community that's very dear to me is the immigrant community, the refugee community, because like I said, I'm an immigrant myself. So one thing I've noticed in my small leadership that I've started in the community here is, there's a lack of engagement from our public officials, our elected officials, and our immigrant community. Because of that, me and my partner Sadiq here and I, my brother and I, we've decided to work together and see how best we can bring either our people to our public officials or bring our public officials to our people. And we've been working very hard in making that come through, and we've went vice versa, both ways, bringing our people to the elected officials and bringing our elected officials to our people here. So, like I said, it's a community that's very dear to Sadiq and I as well, being members of this community. So, we always want to give our people an opportunity to know what it is that's going on in their communities, because yes, we have other communities back in the motherlands, but this is home as well, so we like to embrace what we have here, and because of that we are all here tonight. So that's a little bit about ourselves and why we are here. Sadiq, is there anything I'm missing that you would like to touch on?
Like I said, my brother said, I was also born in Liberia. When the Civil War happened in Liberia in the early 90s and in the late 80s, my dad had to sign paperwork to come to America. So then I had the opportunity as well to come here. So we know how hard our parents strive to bring us here. Well, on top of that, too, the immigrant community is huge, definitely around this lower end. I call this Sector 4 because I was a cop in Yaden. So this is Sector 4 side. And if you see Yaden, Upper Darby, the diversity is amazing. It's not that you guys don't want to be involved in the immigrant community. It's just the lack of coming together. And it's really hard sometimes because the language barrier, and sometimes too the immigrant community don't really trust a lot of individuals if you're not part of their clique. So me and my brother here, we decided every day from now on to bring the immigrant community, because as we're also citizens, they also have a right to vote and everything like that. So this program is for you guys to talk to the immigrant community. We're gonna have individuals coming in and out. On top of that, we're gonna be live. When we go live, it's 30,000 views in Delaware County and part of the immigrant community. People can watch you all the way in the continent of Africa. So it's really important. Yeah. So yeah, it is. So this is big here. And we're doing this for you guys because we care about you guys, and we know you guys really want to fight for us as well. So thank you guys for coming today, and we really appreciate it. So we're going to start our program, and you guys can talk about your agendas and everything like that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
All right. Yes. So Sadiq basically said it all. So we'll start off with Jack here, who is running for this, who is our Democratic candidate for district attorney for Delaware County. I'm going to let Jack speak for himself, but I don't want to toot his horn, but he has quite an impressive resume. This guy was the assistant DA for Delaware County, also the assistant DA for the U.S. attorney, if I'm not mistaken, and the list goes on. But I'm not here to speak on his behalf. I'm going to let him speak. And Jack's going to tell us what his visions are for Delaware County, and maybe a few questions at the end. So if you guys have any questions, we'll just save it for the end.
And individually too, you have people that's working with you as well, and I also want to give her the platform to speak too. Unfortunately, when you're done, you can also invite her and she can speak as well. Whoever the next, because you have another person that's running with you, right?
I have two.
Yeah. Okay, you introduced. All right, perfect. I just want to give everybody the platform to speak today. It's really important. All right, so go ahead, Jack.
Thank you, Sadiq.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and thank you all for coming out tonight. It's really amazing that people want to come out and talk to political candidates, right? My name is Jack Stolzheimer, and like you, I am a family that immigrated to the United States. My mother came to this country as a refugee also from a Nazi slave labor camp after the Second World War. You guys were talking about the sacrifices your parents made to get here. At the end of the Second World War, my mother and her family were liberated by American soldiers. They had the choice to go back to the Soviet Union or to try to come to the United States. They were not going back to a totalitarian government. They did not want to go back to live in Joseph Stalin's Ukraine. That's the country my family comes from, the Ukraine. You might have heard of it a little bit. It's been in the news recently, Ukraine. But me, this is coming home. I grew up as a little bitty kid in Cardington, and I've seen this community grow. And I got to tell you what I believe, and I think the reason I'm a Democrat is I believe that we are all better off when we have diversity of our cultures. When we remember where we came from and we celebrate that, but we also blend that into what is the American culture. I'm a Democrat because I believe in two things. I believe that all of us are enriched when each of us has the opportunity to reach their full human potential. And I also believe that government is a mechanism for help those people to get to that place. We can all live the American dream. I've had the good fortune of being able to get a college degree and then go on to law school and have a somewhat distinguished career. I was a prosecutor in Delaware County and a federal prosecutor for a total of 7 years. I've served as deputy state treasurer as well, helping to create a program which I'm really proud of called Keystone Scholars, which is a program that's going to give every single child born or adopted in Pennsylvania the opportunity to go to higher education. We're going to give them, and we are giving them, a starter 529 account seeded with money, because your little child is 7 times more likely to go to higher education and graduate if there's a little bit of family savings in his name, because he knows you believe in him. We want him to know that you believe in him and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania believes in him, and that's why Treasurer Torcell and I worked so hard to create that program. So what I want to do as district attorney is really make sure our criminal justice system is fair and just to everyone. Delaware County has a terrible reputation. It's been run by one political party for 140 years, and they've run it for the benefit of a small number of people. And in the criminal justice system, only those people who look a certain way and act a certain way and are registered in a certain party are the ones who get the best treatment. That's going to end as soon as you elect the people I'm going to introduce to you as our next and first Democrats ever elected in the history of this county to the Court of Common Pleas. If you can imagine that. Not since before the Civil War have we ever elected Democrats to my position or to their position. And we can do it this year because they are as committed as I am, as are our county council candidates, to giving everybody, no matter what community you come from or what you look like, an equal opportunity for you to live a happy and successful life, because that is what the American dream is all about. And if you don't have it, that opportunity, then my American dream isn't as rich as I like to believe it is. So all of us need to work together to make sure that we're taking care of every community. And I think the African community and the Liberian community in particular are people that we have warmly embraced here as Democrats in Delaware County. So with no further ado, unless you guys have a question for me, because I'm afraid if I talk too long, I'm going to lose you. The food is tremendous. But I think I can get my friend Nusrat Rashid to come up here. She is not only going to be one of the first 4 Democrats elected to the Court of Common Pleas, she will be the first African-American woman elected in Delaware County Court of Common Pleas. She will be your judge. And ladies and gentlemen, she is the face of change in Delaware County. So please bring up Nusrat and please give her a round of applause.
Thanks, Jack. Thank you, Jack. I really appreciate that. Hello, everybody, and to those of you who are Muslim, assalamu alaikum. It is really a pleasure for me to be here. My good friend, Sadiq Muhammad, has been a supporter of mine since before I announced my run, and has explained to me and clarified for me a lot of things that I already knew about the African immigrant community and specifically the Liberian community. And that is the yearning to be part of a free, open, equal, transparent, representative government. And when you come from a society and a country that is rocked by civil war, rocked by conflict, rocked by inequity, and that describes a lot of places all over the world, right? The one thing that you want most of all is to know that you, your family, your friends, every day will be treated the same way under an orderly system of law. My ancestors came from maybe the section of Africa now known as Liberia, the section of Africa now known as Nigeria, or Ghana, or Sierra Leone, or the Ivory Coast. We are all connected from that area of the western continent of Africa. Whether you came here 15 years ago, or whether, like for me, I don't know their names. I don't know their faces. But we're connected all in having to struggle to get the things that we want out of life. That's what binds us as people. That's what binds us as descendants of Africans, like me, people who know the continent of Africa, like you, and people like Jack, whose family came from Europe. They were also marginalized and enslaved by their governments. We live in a country where the rule of law guarantees us our fundamental freedoms, that everyone, no matter what their country of origin is, no matter where their ancestors came from, no matter when they set foot on this continent, are held accountable to the law and are equal to the protection of the law. Here in Delaware County, the Court of Common Pleas is made up right now of 20 judges. Now, when I tell people what the Court of Common Pleas, a lot of people look at me like, what is that? We don't know. What is the Court of Common Pleas? It's out media. Does everybody here know where media is? Okay. So when I say it's the court out media, it's the big courthouse. And when someone says they're going to the court out media, they're going to get in front of one of 20 judges. Out of those 20 judges, 4 are women. Out of those 20 judges, none are of color. Out of the 3 judges of color who have been elected to the court, all 3 have been men. That's an issue. Representative government means for the people, by the people, and of the people. So when we as citizens of this county look at the court, it should be reflective of who we are as a society, as a community, because there has to be a degree of cultural sensitivity where everyone is connected and everyone is looked at equally and treated impartially. So that's my position. That's why I'm running for judge, to increase public trust and confidence in the court and to bring the court and make it inclusive of all communities across Delaware County. And I'm very proud to be doing that on behalf of all communities across Delaware County, and specifically communities that I feel I have some sort of an affinity with based on where our ancestors all came from. So that's why I'm running. I am very proud. Could you hand me one of those? Yes, that. I'm very proud and honored to be running with an amazing slate of lawyers. All right, you have to be a lawyer to get elected to the Court of Common Pleas. So these are my teammates and my friends: Stephanie Klein, Kelly Eckel, and Rick Lowe. And if you look on the back here, not one Democrat has ever been elected or currently sits on the court out media, the trial court, ever. Like Jack said, in history. We reference the Civil War because it seems sufficiently far back that it sounds like a really long time. It is over 150 years, right? Never. Okay? So this is a big deal. Right here now tonight, one of my teammates is here. I'm glad she's here. I didn't know she was coming. I'm very glad that she's here, and I'd like to invite her up, Kelly Eckel. So something really cool about Kelly before I hand over the mic to her and she can hopefully say something, a little bit of something. Okay. Kelly and I went to law school together. We graduated from Temple Law School, class of 1996. We didn't really know each other then, not because Kelly wasn't a nice person or me, right? It's because the law school class was over 350 people and it was just too large for everybody to know each other. We connected again in 2017 when Kelly was running for judge for the first time against then DA, now judge, Jack Whalen. And we saw each other. I was down in Chester getting an award from the Chester Democrats, and we realized that we went to the same law school. We knew each other, and so it was really great. So we've grown to be good friends, and we're working together, and we are going to make a difference on the court with new and great programs for everyone. Kelly.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. Thank you for sharing the stage. I won't take a lot of time. It's interesting, on the trail, you do learn new things about people you have met in the past, maybe only briefly, people you came together with just on the trail. I'm looking at you, Jack, and you learn things about them. Something that triggered in my mind when Jack spoke about where he has come from, part of his story and his family origin, made me think, wow, what part of my story when I get up in front of groups is often to share that unlike a lot of people in this community in Delaware County who like to say, oh, I've been in Delaware County all my life, that seems to always be, the critical thing about making you a good candidate. I have only lived in Delaware County for 20 years, about 20 years. Before then, my father served this country in the military. But here's the thing that I got triggered earlier when Jack spoke. My parents actually immigrated, so I am the child of immigrants as well, immigrated to this country from Germany in the late 1950s. My father literally came to this country with, he likes to say, a quarter in his pocket. It probably was a little more, but it wasn't a lot more. He then worked his way into the middle class, joined the Army. As a result of that, I have lived, studied, and traveled throughout this country, wherever my father was stationed, and abroad. Through that experience, I feel I have really developed a good, deep appreciation for the diversity of cultures throughout this country and abroad. And the funny thing is, Nusrat mentioned I ran in 2017, and so I have traveled Delaware County. And what I observed in 2017 is that Delaware County is a microcosm of our great nation, and the diversity of the cultures of this nation are represented right here in Delaware County. And I'll take it one step further. Here in Upper Darby, It is essentially a microcosm of the community of Delaware County. You've got people from all different walks of life concentrated in one part of this county. So it's a microcosm within a microcosm, and it is rich, and we need to be appreciative of that. Everybody, when they come to the court, has a problem to solve. No one's going to come to the court because they're having a great day. Right? You have a dispute with your neighbor over, a fence or a tree, or God forbid you get into trouble with the law. The person who is sitting up there on that bench needs to have an appreciation for the different people that might appear before them and have an open mind and want to not only hear what they have to say, but try to understand them and help them solve that problem. So that's what I'm committed to doing as a judge, bringing my life experience, my appreciation for the differences among communities that is existent here in this county, so that when people come to court, they will feel like they've had their day in court, and more important, that I've understood and tried to solve their problem, looking at what the law says, but finding a solution so that they understand what is going to happen to them next, and what the result is, and why the result is the way it is. So that's a little bit about myself and what I hope to bring, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and appreciate the support of this community and the diverse communities everywhere in Delaware County. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you to our two future judges. Look forward to seeing you guys in media soon. Well, hopefully I don't have to see you there. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But look forward to seeing you guys working in media. So thank you guys for being here, and thank you for that. We also have with us, we are here in Lansdowne, Borough. We are in Upper Darby, but we're not far from Lansdowne. We're about 2 minutes from Lansdowne. And we have with us a very good friend of Sadiq as well, that is seeking re-election for Borough Council. So we will have with us Ben today, and he is going to share with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank Sadiq for opening up the space here for all of us. It's a real honor to be hosted in the community at this restaurant, and I also want to thank all of the people running on county for coming here as well. And just so you know, I don't know if I'll be able to have your vote since I live in Lansdowne. I'm running in Lansdowne, and I don't know if you live in Lansdowne, but if you do, please vote for me. I just want to make a statement, though, to tie into what a lot of my fellow slate mates have said, and that's that we live here in a time where we all come from different backgrounds. Like Kelly, I'm not from Delaware County. I moved here from Ohio about 20 years ago to work in the Philadelphia schools. I'm a public school teacher, and I have to say that this is where my connection to the community comes from. From the time I worked in Southwest Philadelphia to middle school and now at a high school, my students come from all over. Most of the students that I've taught are from different immigrant communities. They're first generation, second generation immigrants, and they're some of the hardest working people I know, and their families are the hardest working families that I know, because they all want something, and what Jack said, the American dream. They all want a piece. They all want to take part. They all want to be a part of the community. They all want to be engaged. And in fact, I know from living in Lansdowne, that's my neighborhood as well. That I have people from all different countries, all different backgrounds, from West Africa, some from East Asia, some from like myself, moving from different states into the area, that we all want the same thing, and that's to have a nice, vibrant community. We all want to work together. We all want to play together. In my role on Lansdowne Borough Council, I've been strong about investing in the public spaces that we have. The public playgrounds where my kid plays and your kids play. Similar with the types of parks that we have, that this is a space that we can all come together, whereas we might divide up when we go to church and have different places where we go, or we divide up in terms of restaurants. We do have these common public spaces that we all can take part in. My child's involved in multicultural soccer, and I see it there every weekend. That this is what America should be like. This is what it should look like, is that you do have people from all different countries, all different backgrounds and religions, all coming together and interacting with one another, because that's really what America is about. And so I want to thank you all for coming out. I encourage you to vote for the wonderful people at the top of the slate. And if you live in Lansdowne, vote for me. If you don't live in Lansdowne, we'd love to have you move there. Then you can vote for me. But it's a great place to live, great place to interact, and also to recognize that there's not much that divides us. We have Marshall Road on one side's Upper Darby, the other side's Lansdowne. We're all part of the same community. That we all interact in the same restaurants, we all interact in the same places. And so I want to thank you again for coming out, and I want to thank you for participating in the process, and I want to thank Jawar and Sadiq for hosting us here. Really appreciate it, and I appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ben. And thank you, Ben. Next, we have with us another Democrat that is fighting, and we know she's gonna keep fighting, and we know she's gonna win. Running for Delaware County Council. So we have today with us Dr. Monica Taylor. She's gonna speak to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for putting this on. This is great. So just a little bit about me. I am from Upper Darby. I'm here. I sit on the school board in Upper Darby. My husband and I live over by Casey's, and we have 2 little girls who are in the Upper Darby School District, and that's really kind of why I ran for school board originally, just because, you know, I wanted to try and help my community, and I knew my girls were going to be in the school district for a really long time. In the county council, some of the issues that I was running into as a school board director in Upper Darby, I found that we just didn't have the resources at the county level that we should have, and I was using other counties' resources in order to help our kids in the school district. And for me, it was like, well, what is going on here? Why do we not have the resources that we need? And why am I using other counties for them? And then I thought, well, there's 15 school districts in our county that could benefit from the resources that would help this. And that's what kind of opened my eyes originally to what's going on in the county. And then the more I looked into it, the more I was like, oh my goodness, we're so behind on economic development and workforce development. And we're behind all of our surrounding counties on the fact that we don't have a health department. We're one of the largest counties in the entire country. I mean, that does not have a health department. And as a professor, so I work at the University of Sciences. I'm a professor and I run one of the undergraduate programs there. And I help to train our students who are going into various allied health professions. And as a health professional, I know exactly how important it is to have a health department that's helping guide our decisions and how we're helping our community. And then I looked and I realized that we have the only private prison in the entire state of Pennsylvania. And that private prison is poorly run. There's poor oversight at the prison. We have awful working and living conditions in that prison. And right now, the way it's set up, it's a private company. And for every person who's put in a bed, somebody is making money off of those people. And for me, that's a moral issue. And that's something that the county should be in control of. Something that the county should be in control of. It should not be privatized. And those are just some of the issues. There's like 3 major issues, but there are so many more. And the more you look into the county, the more you realize it's just been a lot of mismanagement. And we just could do better. We could be providing more services for our constituents in our county. And if you look at the county and the way it's been set up, you can see that there are townships in this county where they've been able to improve their local municipality just because their local tax base is more affluent than others, right? And so they've been able to piece together things because that's what they can do with their own individual municipalities. But those that can't do it have been left behind, and that's where you get these economic disparities in our county when you're looking at a Radnor versus an Upper Darby or a Darby, or and those are there in place because our county just hasn't been doing what it's supposed to be, and it hasn't been helping out everyone equally. And those are just some of the things that are my slate. I'm running with Elaine Schaefer and Christine Ruther, and we have an amazing slate, and we are really ready to start serving the community and working for the people of Delaware County. So thank you so much for allowing us to speak here and for allowing me to be here. And yes, that's about it.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. So we all, yes, please eat some food before we leave. I spent all day cooking this. They almost fell for it. But yes, election is 10 days away. Especially for those that are tuned in. Election is 10 days away. Please make sure you vote, vote, vote. And if any of you have the time availability, please, volunteer with our wonderful candidates here. Just reach out to any of them tonight, and I'm sure they can use some help and some volunteers. So if you are tuned in and you need any help with that, you can contact Sadiq or myself. And we'll all make sure we have some Democrats in Delaware County in the next 10 days. So thank you.
Do anybody have any questions?
Now we'll take the questions. I'm sorry? Yes. Who had questions? Oh, okay.
No, I don't have questions. I just have a closing about the network.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to come.
You can do that after Q&A. Okay.
All right. So do anybody have any question?
Any?
Okay, go ahead.
My name is David Banto, a resident of Upper Darby. I've been in this township since I entered the United States, 98. And CD, thanks for having me here today again. And my own friend, I was so shocked to see her at our event when I run a nonprofit group in Upper Darby that work with the children, a multicultural youth development initiative. So we are based, as I was saying, we just moved down the street in Lansdowne in your township at a Lutheran church right there. There where we are going to be. Now, I'm happy that we are having the opportunity now to sit with politicians to hear from you about diversity. When I entered the country newly, it was kind of strange to me, a great country like this that is made out of, people of different background, and people seem not to have low knowledge about different people. So it was a culture shock. But anyway, we are here in 2019 talking about people from different countries. Now, my question, I don't know where to direct this question. No, not you. You came in the court and you make my case comfortable. Yeah, everybody's still talking to me that we should bring you back to talk to them again. Yeah, because the father letting them know that you don't want to see them in media in that courtroom, but rather coming out to have fun with them. That stick with the kid. So I want to thank you for that. But anyway, I will go with our man right there. Yeah. So my question to you is, I work with children in this community, and there are a lot of issues we work with. As we speak right now, we try to, through the mayor office, and we try to establish similar program like the Second Chance in Upper Darby. And some companies are working with us, kids that are not in school, that don't have the opportunity to, or even those with criminal background and can't even find something to do. We try to manage to talk to, work with other groups that can hire them, and then we have them out off the street. Now, my question to you is, we have a lot of children in this community that, as I walk through, between houses, and you see kids sitting in backyard doing nothing, just having a different kind of program that is not normal for kids. So my question to you is, what are some of the programs? Because looking around in Delaware County, I don't see a youth center where children, I know we have YMCA and other places, but I mean something that is run by the community or the government, somewhere where kids can, have the free access other than YMCA, or like a center where they can do different stuff. What is your plan to, when it comes to the young people, especially those of different background? Because the thing is, you might think other children from other country kind of understand this system, but you not believe it. When we left the police station the last time, In fact, let me just mention that when we were going to have the program at the police station, some of the kids were, "Why are you taking me to a police officer? I don't like police." But then when we got in there from the action, kids were happy and police. Yeah. So what are some of the plans you guys are putting together to connect the young people with with the federal?
Well, thank you. It's a great question, and I think you sort of alluded to what the answer is, right? There have been great programs in the past. One of the greatest ones that used to operate in Upper Darby, and I don't think it really does anymore, is called PAL, Police Athletic League. In fact, classmate of mine from St. Denis, this is how old I am. My classmate from St. Denis used to be an Upper Darby police officer, and I think he just retired a couple years ago, but he used to be the PAL officer here. And it was a great program because, one, it gave the kids an outlet to do different things and stay out of trouble. But two, it built really great relationships between them and the police officers. They got to see police officers as real human beings and who cared about them. And so my friend used to get tips from people. Kids used to call him up and tell him who was getting in trouble or who was about to get in trouble. Or if there was trouble, he would tell them who had done it. And those are the kind of community relations that we need to have a better outlet for. And I really do believe that with a great sense of passion, that those are the kind of programs we can have more of in Delaware County, not just at the local level, but through the county government. If we start reinvesting some of the savings from our private prison. Remember, we're leaking a couple $1 million a year out of the privately run jail of a corporation that isn't located in Delaware County. We have to turn that prison over to public management for the better care of the people inside the prison, but also to have us as taxpayers have a better chance to reinvest some of those savings into evidence-based programs that are really. And the programs you're talking about and the program that you're involved with, that's exactly what we want to do. And we want to do a lot more of. And I think Dr. Monica Taylor and her colleagues, who will be the person, when they're on county council, they will control the county budget. Because county governments, for people who don't really know, counties do two things, really. They do human services and they do the administration of justice. And the modern way of looking at it is those two things commingle, right? So we spend a ton of money on human services. We also spend a lot of money on our criminal justice system. If we can knock down the silos and have everybody at the table, Monica and her colleagues, the district attorney, the board of judges, and everybody and the community, everybody sitting down saying, well, how do we really stop crime, right? It's not just about arresting people. It's also about deterring crime. And so if we can do that, particularly with young people, because we have to get back to a place in this country, and particularly in this county, where young people have people in their community and in their lives who they can look up to, who can tell them, no, don't do that. I've been there. I know you're going to get in trouble. And we have to give those kids that kind of an opportunity. So the programs you're talking about, the PAL program I'm talking about, they're the exact kind of things we want to reinvest in. And I don't want to speak for Monica, but I know that what she was talking about, too, about economic development, that plays into that, too. The more we can build Delaware County forward, the more businesses we can bring to Delaware County, the more we can increase our tax base, the more we're going to have the resources to do the exact kind of things that you want to do. But it's all about working collaboratively, and it's about working for what's in the best interest of our community, all of our diverse community. So thank you for the question.
Thank you, Jack. Any other questions from anybody else? Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Siddiq, and all those that put these beautiful programs together. I am Ansel Dukle from Liberia. Experienced 14 years of civil mass destructions, so you can imagine as a kid I've been traumatized many times. But I was fortunate due to soccer to move in the Netherlands, where I lived 12 years. I have never been afraid of police when I was in Netherlands. Never. But when I visited the United States 2009, I'm like, what's happened with the other culture? It took me back even more to Liberia, where I saw police and citizens acting like we are back in Liberia. So I keep asking myself, when is this other culture going to change? And seeing people who going to be there to make decisions for our community, I'm asking you guys, I may not be able to put the question to a specific person among you because I did not follow the programs, but what are you guys do for this community to be safe, where kids will see police as their friends, where they can run to police and trust them? Because we have kids who are actually afraid and they cannot speak to police no matter the circumstances. Thank you.
Yeah. I want Nusrat to speak on this too, but I think the real answer there is that we have to recruit police officers who look like Sadiq, right? He was a Yaden police officer, and he can tell you that being a local police officer is one of the most difficult jobs in America anymore, because ever since Columbine in this country, we've had police officers, and we require them to be the first ones through the door when there's going to be a mass shooting. We want him to put his life in front of that bullet, even if it's an assault weapon that we should have banned, but we don't, because this is America and the NRA controls Congress. But we also want him at the same time to be a community relations police officer. We want him to do community policing and to be ready to charge through a door. And that's really difficult. And I think our police officers are really under a lot of strain here in the United States. The suicide rates are really high among police officers throughout America. The post-traumatic stress disorders that a lot of them suffer from is real. We have to be careful. We have to understand both the community side and the police officer side, which I'm so proud of why Sadiq is here and is so active in the community, because that's what we need. We need to recruit officers who look like the diverse community that we are, and we need them to have his kind of personality and his kind of dedication to the job, where he can talk to children, he can talk to adults, he can diffuse a situation, and he also has the skill set to go in there and to defend our community when somebody is going to do something violent. So I think we just need to start understanding what we're all about. I think a lot of this is breaking down the division between the police and the community. We all have to have more conversations about it. And we have to bring the community to the table, but we also have to get members of your community to be part of the police and law enforcement community as well. And Nusrat, would you please also speak on this issue?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's not just about police officers. Although more police officers that looks like Sadiq would be very, very helpful. It's about the entire system of justice. The entire system of criminal justice should reflect the communities that they serve. So from police officers to assistant district attorneys to probation and parole officers to judges. The whole system should reflect the community, so that when people go into courts, whether they be defendants or people accused of crime, as well as victims, that they have a trust and confidence that the court will be looking to make a fair and just and impartial decision that's based only on the facts and the evidence. Sometimes the appearance of fairness is all that you need to inspire trust and confidence. What I'm going to bring to the bench, what the other three people on the Democratic judicial team are going to bring to the bench, is not only the appearance of fairness, but fairness itself. And to do that, you have to start with the people who are expecting that fair treatment. Unfortunately, the levels of crime due to poverty and other issues are higher in communities of color than they are in other communities. Different types of crimes occur more in communities of color than in other types of communities. There have to be judges on the bench, not who are going to give people a different break because they may come from one community or another, but they're ready to listen. As me and Kelly said a few minutes ago, listen to understand how to best solve the problem. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I represent people, adults and juveniles, accused of crimes every day in the same courthouse that I'm running to be a judge in. People want to know they're going to get a fair shake. most of them know that it's going to come down to the thing that they did. And they're going to have to face the music. There's different kinds of music, though. And you want it to be fair. So children on the street want police officers to be fair to them. Children have to be fair back. This is about mutual respect. Adults on the street want respect. Police officers want respect. I've met lots of great police officers. I've defended people who were accused of shooting at police officers. I see the emotions in their eyes. So it's all about that mutual respect. It's all about the community. And Jack mentioned the term. Is Jack still sitting over? Okay. Yeah, Jack mentioned the term of community policing. That's really important. But I totally agree with Jack. Working on it from the defense side, that community policing is difficult. It's like when you're a parent, and I'm sure there's lots of parents in this room. As a parent, sometimes it hurts me to have to discipline my child because I still want to be his mom and he loves me and everybody's happy together. Not so much his friend, but his mom. So police officers have to do that very delicate balance where you want to be friends with the guys on the corner, but you also need them to respect you. In a little way, not fear you, the police officer, but the law itself. The rule of law has to be respected. So you need good police officers. You need police officers who come and live in, that's another important thing, right, Jack? Not only come from and look like the community, but live in the community. In the community that I live in, which is a Chester City community, Chester City police officers, after a certain period of time, I think it's maybe only a year or so, can leave the city of Chester and live somewhere else. Well, what connection is there? You care more about the things you see every day, right? So these are all things that will make, to answer the gentleman's question, it'll easier for the community to work with the police officers so that overall the entire system of justice gives the respect and gets the respect. So that's where I am, and I know that my teammates feel the same way about that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. The judge, future judge, just alluded to something that was very important that I think I want to kind of rewind to. You're a prosecutor as well? You're a defense attorney. I'm sorry. She's a defense attorney as well. Okay. And but yes. Oh, so you both actually can answer this question. Actually, and our other judge candidate can answer this question as well. I know there's in this community specifically, there's a lot of incidents where a lot of our young men, especially young men of color, are getting long prison sentences for minor and nonviolent marijuana offenses. So I kind of wanted to know where you guys were as far as marijuana in general, but especially when it comes to young men of color that are getting disproportionately locked up when it comes to offenses that especially are nonviolent.
And I still want to hear Sadiq talk about how to be a police officer in today's world, okay? But I do want to answer directly your question about marijuana because this is very important. We're on the path in this country, and particularly in this Commonwealth, to legalize marijuana. Okay, Governor Wolf is for legalization. John Fetterman, the Lieutenant Governor, is for legalization. Attorney General Josh Shapiro is for legalization. It's going to happen. What we need to do, in my view, are do two things. One, we need to legalize it. I support the legalization of marijuana at this point, but I also think we need to decriminalize it. So people who have previous criminal convictions need to have their record expunged the day we legalize marijuana. If it's no longer a crime, then people shouldn't have to be handicapped for the rest of their lives because they once smoked a pot, a joint or two. What I would do as district attorney, because you're exactly right, in this county, the arrests for marijuana possession are completely and utterly disproportionate. In 2016, there was 3,000 Delaware Countyans arrested for possession, simple possession of marijuana. That's not possession to sell, it's possession for personal use. Of those 3,000 people, 59% of them were African American. The African American population of this county is 22%. I'm really not very good with math, but Nusrat, that's not exactly comparable, yeah. So what I will do is just We're going to give them citations. So if you're disturbing the peace by your smoking of marijuana, you're going to have to pay a price for that. But if you're using for personal use and smoking marijuana in your own home or with your group of friends in a private place, nobody's going to disturb you. Because, again, we're on the path to legalization. I think we've now realized it's not the 1950s anymore. Reefer madness was never really right. And of all the drugs that are out there, this is one of the least harmful. We have people in this country who are completely killing themselves because of their addiction to a legal medication, right? Opioids. Right? Wouldn't you have rather that we had legal marijuana instead of legal opioids as a painkiller for the last 20 years? We'd have a lot more brothers and sisters sitting around with us if that had been true. And quite honestly, in this county and in this country, white people used to think that drug issues and addiction issues were a moral failing. But as soon as white people started abusing legal medical drugs, right? Now it's a public health crisis. So we've got to stop. Let's be honest, right? So now we got to be smart about this. We got to be smart about drugs. There are drugs that are killing people in our communities. We've got to stop them. You know about that firsthand. I'm going to give him the microphone in a minute because he can tell you about this. But there are other drugs that people use just like they've been drinking alcohol for years, another legal drug, okay? So we've got to get smarter about the drug problem. We've got to stop treating it like a war on drugs, which has really been a war on the poor community, quite honestly, in this country. And we've got to be smart on crime. And I think Sadiq knows all about this and can tell you a little more from his personal background, both as a law enforcement officer and particularly a law enforcement officer who's been working in the drug area.
So, thank you guys. I can definitely talk about when it comes to the drug problem in Delaware County. Before that, I'll definitely talk about community policing. When I became a police officer in Yaden, I became a police officer because my community didn't have a voice. That's what it felt like. And we wasn't being represented. We didn't have a seat at the table. So when I became a cop, it was amazing. Because now, when I knock on somebody's door, from your last name, if your last name is Kaba, like C-A-B-A, I already know you're from either Senegal, Liberia, or Guinea, and you already know what tribe you come from. So I've been in a situation, police officers, we have discretion. When I pull somebody over for just blowing a stop sign, Africans, we're really scared of police or immigrants. So, we really are. So I'll tell you guys a story. I'll pull this guy over. He just ran a stop sign. He didn't stop completely. When I pull him over, he starts shaking and crying. I'm like, we treat people with like respect. I said, Uncle. I saw his name. I'm like, why are you crying? He's like, man, don't take me to jail and everything. I'm like, Uncle, calm down. Then I said, my name is Sadiq Kamara. He said, they hire you? First of all, when I shave my beard, I look like I'm 15. So when I get out of the police car, I look like I'm 15 years old. When I'm in my military uniform, I look like I'm young as hell. Excuse my language. But they're like, they hire a Kamara? I'm like, yeah. You from Africa? I said, yes, Uncle, I'm from Guinea. He's like, wow. He was shook. It was amazing. And after then, he started trusting the police. Whenever I see him, I say, hello, Uncle. So that's why it's important to have people, like us, also policing our community. Definitely, like minorities as us, when they come to the youth, I stop my police car and play basketball with the kids. And when I'm done playing and when I'm done working, I'll go outside again and play ball with the kids. Like, wait, weren't you just in the police car? I'm like, yeah, but we still got a game to finish. So these are really important to our community. And when I was a police officer as well, I've been in a situation this guy, it was Christmas time, the holiday. His registration expired, everything. Pull him over because his tenant window was dark as heck. So I pull him over. I'm like, hey, brother, what's going on? He start crying again. I'm like, why am I getting lucky with everybody crying now? And I asked him, I'm like, what's going on? He was like, my nephew just passed away. I was like the funeral book and everything. He's like, I don't have any money and I don't know what to do. It's the holiday season. So what I decided to do is, I'm like, all right, I can't let you drive. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some money. You can take the trolley because he was going to Southwest on Church Lane. You can take the bus and you can park your car. You can have somebody come pick up your car. These are what we need to train our police officers and kind of understand. you don't always have to just slam everybody. And when it comes to the drugs, I work in the drugs force some time too as well. And I see that in Philadelphia, it's a mess. It's really, really horrible. So my question for Jack already kind of answered when it comes to like the opioid and everything and the medication. I wanted to also ask you, Monica, and other individuals here, what's your opinion? Because 69th Street here, they come here a lot. And Upper Darby, like, they're coming here. And I want to know how we're going to fight that. It's really important because right now, Kensington, like, I don't know if you guys ever been there or drive through there. It's really, really bad. And I'm out there every single day knocking on doors, trying to help somebody out. So I don't want that in my neighborhood in Lansdowne or Upper Darby in Delaware County. I'm trying to avoid that. So I wanted to ask you guys, what you guys thought about, the opioid crisis and how we're going to try to prevent that in Delaware County. Thank you, guys.
I think working with trying to combat the opioid crisis in our county is, it's something that if we had a health department in our county would be a real asset to help combat that, because what a health department does is that it helps to coordinate the services all around the county so we can make sure we're targeting our attacks, we are helping the areas that really need it the most, and then of course we need to work with our DA and partner with other organizations around the county to try and make sure that we're preventing more from coming in and that we're helping all the individuals that are here that are dealing with this, whether it's families, individuals who are actually in recovery, helping them all to make sure that we are fixing the problem.
Yeah, and Monica's exactly right. It's a public health crisis in part. It's also a law enforcement crisis. We need a public health partner to take the lead. Right now we have a heroin task force in Delaware County. It's run by the district attorney. It's a PR exercise. They've never actually arrested anybody. They don't conduct any operations, right? It's just a method for her to go around the county and stand before life-size pictures of herself and tell people that she's the one trying to keep the opioid crisis under control. It's not under control. What's going... It's right, and it's
in Delco, it's in Upper Darby, and it's coming. You guys don't know this, but I know this.
And you know it's a next generation, right? It's the synthetic drugs that are coming now too, that are much more deadly in some ways than even the opioid and heroin we've dealt with. So we've seen a dip in deaths, but we're about to go back up unless we really attack the problem. And one of the things we talked earlier about marijuana, one of the things law enforcement needs to do is make sure that we're going after the real drug dealers and the big time guys and the guys who are moving and making a lot of money. They did a study one time in Baltimore of a drug organization, and they found that it was like the rest of the capitalist part of the United States. The guys at the very top who took no risks got all the money. And the guys working on the street selling the drugs who were getting shot at, they were making less than minimum wage, okay? So what we've got to do is we've got to dismantle drug organizations. We've got to go after the big drug dealers who are dealing the kind of poison that are killing people in our communities. But the only way we can do that is if we're smart on the lesser crimes. And if we have the resources, in part because we're going to have a health department to partner with, but also because, again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but if we can just deprivatize our prison and reinvest some of those savings. When I was a federal prosecutor, George Bush was a president of the United States. And everybody thought he was a hardcore conservative. Right now, he looks pretty good compared to the Republican we've got now. Yeah. But he actually was a criminal justice reformer because he did two things. He started the reentry programs in the United States because we realized there was about 600,000 people who are getting out of prison every year from very long sentences. Very few people go to jail for the rest of their lives. They're all going to get out. And if we've done nothing but warehouse them for long periods of time, we got to give them a chance to become productive citizens. The second thing he did, though, was called the Justice Reinvestment Initiative. And what that is it's been going on for about 14 years, is we're trying to partner with the states and local municipalities to make sure that we're ending the era of mass incarceration. We're not just locking people up for the longest possible sentence anymore. We're giving them an appropriate sentence when they need to go to jail. But we're reinvesting those savings that we're getting from not having to constantly build new prisons and reinvesting them into evidence-based programs to treat the addiction and the mental health issues. Judge Dozier, who just left the criminal division in our common pleas court that these guys are going to be moving into, said recently at a public forum that 70% of his criminal docket were people who had addiction or mental health issues or both. And he thought that number was actually rising. Okay? So the people we're arresting have these underlying issues that if we're not actually giving them an opportunity to heal, then we're not doing justice to them. And to do that, we need programs and we need funds. And Monica, I think, has really appropriately talked about how we can help with the county health department. But I also think that we've got a couple of judges here I want to hear from, or I'm sorry, judges to be, who I think are going to tell you about some of the kind of ideas they have to make sure, because they're these programs from the bench.
I want to touch on one thing before I hand it to Nusrat about new programs. But your initial question was about very long sentences imposed for relatively minor issues. It's very easy for someone to say, well, you know, as a judge, my hands are tied by the laws that the legislature has put together. The fact is, the laws that the legislatures have enacted that we do have to follow often provide for the judge to look at many different factors. Another way to put that is the judge has discretion to look at the whole situation. So while there may be a mandatory minimum sentence for a particular crime, that's all it is, a minimum sentence. And what you are getting at, I think, is that it seems like an inordinate number of sentences are on the other end of that sentencing. And to me, if that's the case, that suggests that the judge hasn't rolled up his or her sleeves and looked at all of the factors that perhaps he or she is supposed to look at to arrive at the just sentence in a given situation. So I know I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and do the work and look at all the different factors and not just sort of a gut reflex, okay, I'm going to give the highest end of the punishment, which is, I think, what you were saying. So, Ms. Strutt.
Thank you, Kelly. So following up and in the same vein about discretionary sentencing and to what Jack was saying about the programs and how the court can be involved in that, I just thought it would be helpful for you to know a little bit more about the state of the specialty or the treatment courts in Delaware County. Delaware County has 3 treatment courts, and not many people know about them unless you actually need them. So there's the drug treatment court, there's the mental health court, and then there's the veterans court. None of those courts are utilized to the extent of the capacity, 1, that they're necessary, and 2, that they can handle. So since we're talking about drug use and the problems with the opioid addiction and all of that coincides with mental health, following up on what Jack was saying, there have to be programs, 1, that can help curb the drug addiction issues, and that's where Monica was talking about, and that's where a public health department will come into play. But then there also have to be programs that you can use after a person gets arrested, not for possession with intent to distribute drugs, but drug use and the crimes that come from drug use. So I'd venture to say, based on my experience, that about between 60 and 70% of the drug arrests in Delaware County is for marijuana. It's for marijuana use, it's for marijuana possession, and it's for marijuana distribution or sale. What is the other 35 to 40%? What I call the killers. It's just straight up killers will rot your brain out in an instant. Fentanyl, you know that's on the uprise, right, Sadiq? Fentanyl minimum sentences are huge. It kills you like that. Meth, of course, heroin, and then pills, right? Cocaine has always been big, but these other types of drugs are just killer substances. The drug treatment program or the drug treatment court in Delaware County is not accredited by the state Supreme Court. Let me say that again. It's not accredited by the state Supreme Court, which has an accreditation process for drug treatment courts. That means that whatever's going on in the drug treatment court in Delaware County out in media doesn't rise to the best practices and standards that the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania has set out. That's a problem. That's an issue. And I know that the court now is working on that. I know this because they've said that. It's just not done yet. So I wonder why it hasn't been accredited for the years that it has been in use. So when you have a program that doesn't necessarily rise to the best practices for treatment, it graduates 15 people a quarter. A quarter. That means whatever 15, I'm not good at math either like Jack. So whatever 15 times 4 is, and then you compare that to the levels of opioid addiction in Delco, that's how many people the drug treatment court is helping a year. We have to do better. County council will play a big part in that as far as the funds in the public health. Jack in the DA's office, as our district attorney, our next district attorney, the top law enforcement officer in the county, Jack will play his part in that. Kelly, Stephanie, Rick, and I will do what Kelly said. We will use discretion in our sentencing to get the best results for the individuals and for the community. Nobody's getting away with abusing drugs and using illegal drugs in our courtrooms. I guarantee you that. But there are different solutions that can be used to tailor the best result for the person. I think this gentleman has a question. Do you want me to give it to him? Okay.
Good evening to you all. My name is Rashid Kone. I have been sitting down listening to the problems that have been analyzed here and how to solve those problems. In any situation, we always look at the problem and how to solve those problems and what will be the impact solving those problems on the community. My question is, we are going to campaign to vote you people on. And if you come on board, what plans do you have? I know some of the issues have been clarified somehow, but I just want to emphasize and know, what plan do you have to organize community youth empowerment, that this youth empowerment will bring on the public health sector, the law enforcement sector, the community sector, to encourage or to give awareness to the youth that are in our community. Because if they don't know what they are doing, if they are not aware of what they are doing, they will continue to create problems, go to drugs or whatever we are talking about. So my question is, how best are we going to plan to have community youth empowerment in this community when you people are elected?
All right, we're going to take a few other questions then, and after your answer, then we got only a few more questions. Anybody want to answer what he just said? Yeah, we got like maybe 2 more questions. All right, you. Yes.
So I think implementing some of the programs that Jack talked about. And I think one of my big issues is trying to improve our workforce development program in the county and trying to make sure that our youth in particular have access to skills and job opportunities that they are going to be able to create and have a family sustaining wage. And the way we do that is to first, we need to make sure we're trying to improve our economic development. We need to bring organizations into the county and businesses into the county, and in particular in Upper Darby, where we are going to actually be able to provide our citizens with family sustaining wages. Another thing when I've ran into working as a school board director is that right now we're so siloed. Our workforce development board doesn't talk with our chamber of commerce. It doesn't talk with our community college. Our community college doesn't communicate well with the intermediate unit where the technical schools are. And all of these fall underneath the umbrella of the county. They should all be kind of working together and coordinating so that we can actually put forth the best workforce development program that's going to help our youth and also help the people in our community who are working 2 and 3 jobs or who don't have jobs. The goal is to make sure that people are economically secure. And when we do that, that's going to help combat a lot of these other issues.
I don't want to belabor the point, but Monica said the key phrase, breaking down silos. My experience in 25 years of government is we have silos. People don't collaborate enough, and we need to collaborate with the community. So we're Democrats, and what that means is we care about the community, and we like to talk to you. So you're going to get sick of us, because if you elect us, we're going to keep coming around and keep asking you what you need. But we're also going to make sure that the government does exactly what Monica says, and she's going to be the boss because she writes the checks. But we're going to do exactly what we said. The Board of Judges, the District Attorney, the County Council, we want to collaborate to find solutions, because I've learned in government, the only time you ever make meaningful change is when everybody is sitting around the table and nobody has to worry about who gets credit for the idea. Let's just get it done, and we're going to do it.
Thank you. We got two more questions. He has one, and I have a final last question, you and I.
So sorry to the audience. Sorry to the audience. You will not see me because I'm behind the camera. But yeah, if you can hold that for me, face it. Okay. Yeah, just to ask some of the questions. People are asking questions. One thing they're asking is access. When you guys win the election, how accessible will you guys be? That's what people are asking. I'm reading the comments coming in. So they want to know, because people have a problem here where I think they don't have access to officials in this county. So that's one thing they want to find out. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll keep reading the comments.
Sure. And I'll let Monica speak on this, because as county council, she's really the front person. You know, the judges have a more defined role when they can't always go out and spend a lot of community time. But as elected officials, that's going to be my job, and it's really going to be Monica's job as well. We need to constantly be talking to everybody in every community in Delaware County. And I'm sorry. Sorry. And Monica knows this firsthand. I'm going to let her speak about this, because she is a school director in one of the largest school districts in Pennsylvania that is probably the most diverse school district in Pennsylvania. I think about 80 different languages are spoken. 71. So she knows firsthand, and there is no more open to the public and accessible job in America than being a school director of a large school district. So Monica has already proven that she's going to be accessible to everyone. I promise you I will be as well. But Monica, would you like to say anything else on that?
I think that some of the things that we've been talking about, my slate mates and I, at the county council level, our meetings currently are in the mornings at 10 a.m. They only meet twice a month, every other week, and that doesn't work for everybody. Most people have jobs, they work during the day, they're not able to come to those open meetings. As a school board director, I know that we have night meetings. All of our meetings are at night because we want the community to be able to come and actually give input. In the school district, we also send out communications before the meetings that talk about, this is what this meeting is going to be about. So if you want to come, send your questions in ahead of time, come. We also have our meetings televised, and they also play on the network channel. And so as a county council member, I think that those are some of the things that we can do to change around how and making it more accessible to the community. We would like to have more evening meetings. We would also like to maybe do some meetings that are in different municipalities instead of always being in media. We would also like to try and, we tape our meetings now, which is fairly new. They just started taping it about a year and a half ago. We tape them now, but maybe trying to put those on the broadcast channels in some of the local municipalities, so people who miss the meetings are able to then go and look at them on their TV channels. So, and also making sure, right now we have our agenda setting, and this not similar at all to the school district, where we set our agenda and then we send out an email, let people know what's going to be on the agenda so that they know what they're coming for and if they want to come for those topics. Right now, the county doesn't do that at all in any way, shape, or form. So making sure that we put our agendas on the website ahead of time and communicate with the people so that you know what's going to be there and if you want to come and talk about the subjects.
Okay. I got a follow-up question on that, on what you just said. Okay, somebody's asking a question. Will you guys have will you guys be able to come back to this network and try to do some interview, because people understanding what you guys are saying. Now they know, they see hearing Siddiqui speaking, they hearing everybody speaking, the cultural differences being in this room. People getting close and they're understanding it very well. So that's why they talk about access, whether they will have access to you guys. So will you guys have the opportunity to come back, get in touch with us, so we can continually dialogue, because people asking questions, they want to know the names, who they're going to vote for, what they need to do. They're asking all of that. So just say a little bit to that.
Yes. I think that would be something that we can easily set up to come back, have something sort of like a town hall talking about once we're in, like the issues that we're seeing in office, and then being able to come back and talk to you about it. I think that seems like a very reasonable suggestion.
Yes, because the food here is fantastic. So I'm going to commit. Now, you did not really make the chicken. No. I'm going to commit to being here a lot. So I hope to meet everybody in the community here every Saturday night. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
The time is we're kind of running out of time. We just got a few more questions, two more questions. He been waiting, and I'll have you. Then we'll close it out. Thank you, guys. All right.
Thank you very much. My question here is, in the area of criminal justice, I know the room is filled with people in that field, and I'm a student of criminal justice. I visited a lot of prisons. I know the prisons are flooded with people of my color, so that is so sad. But I know there are a lot of diversion programs. But what I find out about the criminal justice system is that most of the prosecutors are so into prosecuting people for minor crime instead of sending them to diversion programs. So what are you guys, or what do you have in your plan actually to curtail some of these things? Because we've been victimized seriously.
I think you already spoke on that, but if you, I think we already, Oh, you weren't here? Oh, okay, all right. If you, quick summary. Yeah.
We really want to emphasize reinvesting money from our private jail into diversionary programs that work for people, both through specialty courts that we're going to actually increase the capacity of. We also have a program called ARD, which is Alternative Rehabilitation, that in Delaware County is very expensive. So a lot of poor people, quite honestly, can't get into ARD. It's really your opportunity to go through and get your record clean and pay your debt to society, do some community service, pay some fines and costs. But it's so expensive. I hear this all the time from people, lawyers in Delaware County who are like, it's too expensive, my client can't get in, and they have to take a charge. So we're going to create these diversionary programs. These people, Kelly and Nusrat and her colleagues, if you elect them as judges, they're going to oversee those programs, I hope, right? And we're going to make it work. But we're going to make it work in collaboration. County council writes the checks. They are the taxing authority, and they make the budget. We're going to have one collaboration between county council, Monica Taylor, myself as district attorney, Jack Stolzheimer, Kelly Eckel for judge, Nusrat Rashid as a judge. We're all going to work together to make sure that we can come up with these common solutions that stop just mass incarcerating people and putting them into a just situation for each individual. Nusrat, would you like to say anything? Or Sarah? Pardon me? Sure. My friends are telling me to talk about cash bail. So in our private prison, every day there's about 27% of the people who are there simply because they're too poor to afford their bail. And what that means is we've determined as a criminal justice system that those people should be out of jail pending the charges being resolved, but they're simply too poor to get out. They can't afford, even sometimes just for a couple $100s. And because Delaware County doesn't care about the poor people, our county government, they sit there. And oftentimes after 72 hours, their whole life begins to fall apart. And they end up taking a plea deal later on just to get out of prison. That's not fair or just to everybody. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a due process hearing within those 72 hours. Anybody who fails to post bail, we're going to make sure they're brought into a courtroom. District attorney is going to be there, a prosecutor or a defense attorney is going to be there, and we're going to get to a solution. Why are you still here? Maybe they can't get a hold of their one relative who's got the money. Those are the kind of problems that we want to, again, collaboratively work with. We need good judges who care about people, and we need a district attorney who will work with them to come up with those kind of solutions.
She got a question.
So my question, after having married a Ghanaian man, is yes.
I think the question you're about to ask, I was thinking the same thing. Go ahead.
So, thinking about the highly intellectual Africans who come to the United States of America and come with the correct paperwork and all the credentials and rights to have highly qualified employment. With all of the Democrats coming into the county at the county level, knowing that judges have offices of working people, county council writing checks, the district attorney's office needing a whole posse of people to work in the office. How willing are you to look back into the African communities of Delaware County to hire?
Anybody want to take that answer? All right, okay.
So I think that one of the great things that I've heard on the campaign trail from my Democratic teammates for county council, and Monica, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that they're going to be expanding and opening up and making transparent the hiring processes for the county. Okay? So whereas before you could only get a job in the courthouse maybe if you knew somebody or you were related to someone, again, these are the values that this party brings, and why I'm proud to be a Democrat and to be running for judge, because the values of openness, equality, transparency, and equal access are so important. And when we're talking about the courts, I can't talk for the county so much, but as for the courts, where we're looking to sit as judges, absolutely, representative government. The courts should be open to hiring people from different backgrounds. It should all be about their qualifications. So I think that if the courts, as well as the county, open up and enhance and make some improvements, which are always necessary over time, to the hiring processes, that we will see more people coming in from different backgrounds, and that will help the courts, right? So as a hopefully future judge, if everybody here, goes out and votes, I would be committed to looking at every single solitary resume and application that came across my desk. Because judges, right, Kelly, we get to hire judicial staff. And, I want to see different people from different backgrounds. So I would encourage everyone here who feels that they have something to offer, and I think that everyone has something to offer, to take that first step, to apply, and hopefully all of the hiring procedures will become more fair and transparent for the courts as time goes on. Thank you, Bonnie, for that question.
This is a really important question. I'm surprised nobody really talked about this. But
So, we talk about Philadelphia and it being drug infested, and it's terrible, but they have something going on that's really, really important, that is very dear to this community. Like I said earlier, when I immigrated to this country as a refugee about some 15 years ago, I didn't know what America was, and when I came here and became a citizen, I've loved my few years of being an American citizen, and it's been amazing. But I also feel very dearly for my other brothers and sisters that don't have this opportunity that I have to be living this quote-unquote American dream, right? But in Philadelphia, they have something going on known as the Sanctuary City. And that has helped a lot of our brothers and sisters that haven't been fortunate enough to be able to experience America how I have. So I just wanted to know to Dr. Taylor, especially being on county council, and to all of our other candidates, if you guys can touch on it, what's the probability, or do you guys have any plan, or would you entertain that idea of Delaware County eventually becoming a sanctuary place for our other brothers and sisters?
And also to speak on that, like the immigrant community, like I said, they're scared of law enforcement anyway. So like this is really important to the immigrant community. That, like my uncles, I know people, a lot of individuals, honestly, they don't have the proper documentation, and they're fear for their life. And on top of that too, a lot of young kids that came here when they're like 3 years old, and they went to elementary school here, middle school, high school, and everything, and they didn't have the right document. The only thing they have is now DACA. Now the government's trying to take that away from them as well. I have my friend, he worked 40 hours a week plus just to go to college, because we get financial aid because we're a citizen, and if you have a green card, you can still get financial aid. But some individuals, they still want to get the education. They work their butt off and go to school, go to college. Some of them, they have businesses and everything, so they can't even go back home to even say hi to their grandmothers because they don't even know they're coming back. So that's really sad. So we wanted to ask you guys, definitely Jack and Dr. Monica Taylor, what your thought about, moving forward with Delaware County, because people are scared. The administration and the federal government, they're on something else. So.
Sure. This is one of the most important questions facing America right now, and we need to deal with it as a community, as a diverse community that we are. I don't like the term sanctuary city, and I'll tell you why, because that's what the Republicans use to make us feel bad about doing the right thing. And so what I want to tell you is, if I'm the chief law enforcement officer of this county, I will instruct all of our local law enforcement officers that what they should do, the proper way to deal with the federal government, the Customs and Enforcement Agency, is to deal with them only and appropriately when they are giving everyone that they deal with the Fourth Amendment protections that all of us, every person living in America, has the right to have. So we're not going to, tell them to come in and just do large sweeps. Now, we can't, as a local county government or even as local police officers, we can't stop ICE from coming in and doing their job. But they're going to have to make sure whenever they deal with our government, in my opinion, what we need to make sure that they're doing is they're doing it within the protections of the Fourth Amendment. They better have a warrant for anybody they're coming after. And if they don't, I think that they should not come into Delaware County. I don't want them to come into our courtrooms and try to take people out of them, and I don't want them to do that in police stations, because I think everybody in the community has the same right to be safe. So we want everybody to feel like that officer is their friend and is there to protect them, and they shouldn't have to ask questions about what that officer wants to know. So that's my position. I think that we need to work with federal law enforcement in a cooperative way when they are being cooperative, when they're not just using immigration as a political context to back the president's crazy, ridiculous statements that he makes all the time about people of color and people who aren't born in this country. I feel passionate about that because, as you all have heard earlier, my family came to this country as refugees as well. But we have to be sensible about it. There is going to be a change in the White House, but until that happens, we have to make sure that everybody has the same Fourth Amendment protections in Delaware County.
I'm going to hop on to that. So I know that as a county council person, it's about collaboration with our chief law enforcement officer and making sure that everyone feels safe and feels comfortable in our county. And for us, on the Upper Darby School Board, we were one of the first in the county to do a welcoming schools resolution where we trained our staff about what the rights are of our immigrant families and what the rights are of our kids in our school district, and making sure that if ICE did come to the school, that our staff understands exactly what those rights are, and if they don't have a warrant, that they're not allowed there. And I think at the county level, making sure that we are working with the DA to make sure everyone in our county feels safe is a really big issue for us. So, thank you.
I'm about to close it out. She's been really waiting patiently. She just have a really good question.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. I am Garthine, the administrator of LRTN, and just listening to everyone, two things stood out to me. And it was awareness and getting information out there. I think for our African communities, you talk about school board meetings and other outlets, we do not really follow it as a community, and that's just the honest truth. So today, having us here, LRTN, it opens a new door to get information out there. Our platform is to bring valuable information to our community, and like you guys are giving out valuable information. You have a program going on working with the youth. A lot of people are not aware of that. Having a network like LRTN bring exposure to the community. So I don't know if there's a way to collaborate when you guys are having meetings to get us involved, to get the community involved. Also, for all those who wants to rewatch this coverage, we are on YouTube, LRTN. We are also on Facebook. Thank you.
Going to close it out. We have one of our leaders in our community, in the immigrant community, that he been vocal for us, and he's our president of the Liberian Association of Pennsylvania. Lima. So the Liberian Association of Pennsylvania. He's the president right now. So he's going to talk about Fela Musa and what it is, and want to introduce other individuals and everything. Okay.
All right, thank you, Siddiq, for the great introduction. But let me first thank you so much for trying to create the avenue for us to be able to see our candidates who are going to represent us, at every level. We are truly blessed to have you all here. Let me first recognize Honorable Alaska Wisner, who is running to be president of the Liberian Association in Pennsylvania, and his Honorable Vice President, right? Also, yeah, please give him a round of applause. Brother Banto is also instrumental in keeping our community together. He has several programs running with which he and I have been able to collaborate. So thank you so much for that job. I want to recognize, and these are all leaders. You're coming here today with open an outlet. Trust me, you have a whole lot of immigrant community here. When you speak to us, you talk to us, we will take these pamphlets and take it back to them and explain to them in detail so that they can see their representatives that are going to represent them in the future. So you're being here, just this little group you see, it's a whole host of people behind us. So don't regret it. So that is why I'm truly blessed. I'm very honored to have you all here as well. We all are honored. Let me introduce Honorable Honorable Sano. He is the president of the Kwarugboni Association. We just called him on a very short notice, like about 2 hours ago. He said he was going to be here. I also want to introduce Bijou Sano. She is the president of the association in Newark, New Jersey, the Mandan Association. A whole host of people. And I am Abubakar Siliki Soko Sako Jr., president.
Say that 5 times.
Yeah, right? Yeah. President of the Liberian Mandingo Association of Pennsylvania. I mean, trust me, our people, before we used to consider ourselves expendable. Expendable, in my definition, is people just come and use you for anything they want to use you for. You don't see those that are representing you. But the fact that, Siddiq and his partner here are working to try to create that connectivity between us and our representative is something big. We have to appreciate it. So that is why we are here to appreciate you for coming, to be able to see your people, our people. We are hoping that this is going to be the beginning of something that will last a long time. So I'm here, we are only here to tell you thank you for availing yourself to the people so that we can be able to see you and be able to interact with you. And then we get back to our people and tell them that, yes, we met with our city officials, those that are going to represent us in the future. But I can tell you,